I'm Janice from 5minutesformom.com. We're here in Houston, Texas at the Mom 2.0 Summit. And with me is Katherince Center, author of The Bright Side of Disaster and Everyone is Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us, Katherine.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Your latest book, Everyone is Beautiful, it was just released, correct? Can you tell us a bit about that?
On Tuesday.
Oh my gosh. Well, you see, it feels like it's released because I have it and I'm so excited about it.
It's a story about a mom with 3 boys under 4 who
This is a novel, right?
it's a novel. Yes, I'm sorry. It's a novel. And she moves across the country for her husband's job, and she leaves all her friends, all her mama friends and her family. And she just kind of has this moment where she decided she needs to try to get her groove back. So she starts making all these changes in her life to try and pull some of who she used to be before she was a mom into who she is as a mom now. And it's a romantic comedy, and it's a love story about married people, which was a little bit more of a challenge to write than I thought originally it would be, but it turned out okay in the end.
Wonderful. So it's a love story within a marriage.
Yeah, it's about married people.
How refreshing.
Trying to, because when you write a love story, you need to have an obstacle.
Yes.
And so, like in Twilight,
Marriage is an obstacle.
yes,
Marriage is sometimes an obstacle to romance, isn't it?
like in Twilight, which is like this sort of very romantic story, and everybody's kind of read it. The obstacle is, the fact that one of them is a vampire and wants to eat the other one.
That
so
is an obstacle.
yeah, that's like as good as obstacles get. That's like the perfect obstacle. So when I was starting to think about the story, I thought, well, children are an obstacle.
They really are. In life, the dailiness of life is an obstacle to romance.
Because you mess with your kids all day and you love them and you want to take great care of them, and then like 9 o'clock comes and you fall asleep in your clothes. Exactly. And
It's so romantic, our lives, isn't it?
not always super romantic. So that was my idea, was to have them sort of be the obstacle and have it be about these 2 married people who are trying to kind of find each other again.
I am so excited to read your book. We just received it last night at the speaker's dinner, and so I am so excited. It's in my bag, and I just can't wait to sit down and digest it.
Yeah, actually, my tagline for the book is love, marriage, chocolate cake.
I'm speechless, and that's hard to get. That's really hard to get. And The Bright Side of Disaster was also a really popular book as well. Tell us a bit about that.
It got a great review in People magazine, and
this is a dream come true for so many writers out there wanting to have successful published books themselves. Can you tell us, how did this happen?
well, it was kind of crazy. I always wanted to be a writer, and I didn't actually think it was always going to work out because it's very hard to get published. It's very hard to get a novel published.
It's kind of like winning a lottery, isn't it?
A lot like winning the lottery. I walk around feeling like that all the time. And I had written this book actually on a dare from my sister.
Are you serious? Yeah. Well, sisters are good for lots of things.
My sister is great for many things. And she said, you should write a novel about being a mom. And then she said, how hard can that be?
How hard can that be? Well, I think it's hard, actually.
She didn't have any kids then, but now she does. Now she knows. So I literally, she said that to me, and the very next morning, I had this idea for this book, and I started working on this book. And I wrote obsessively, and I got a first draft. And as I was writing it, I thought, this book talks about motherhood in a way that I haven't seen. Because motherhood
would be messy.
Well, it just wasn't anything like what I expected it to be. It's so different from what you think it's going to be. Better in many ways, and also way harder, and the sleep deprivation is crazy. So anyway, I wrote this book, and I was really going to try and be brave about getting it published, but I didn't have any idea how to do that. And I actually literally had on my to-do list, find agent, sell novel, but I didn't know how to do that.
Pick up milk.
Right. Get gas. Exactly. And then I got pregnant again, and then I had another baby, and then I was sort of back in Newbornville.
So that book was sitting on your desk or a shelf for a while?
In a drawer. Yeah, in a drawer. And totally forgotten because, had the new baby, wasn't even thinking about it anymore. And then one day I went to the park with my kids and a friend, and there was a woman at the park who lives in my neighborhood who's a novelist. And my friend said, you should go talk to her. She's got a novel published, and you should ask her if she'll read your book. And I was like, no. I am not stalking the neighborhood novelist. I'm not going to do that. But then my friend, who was not at all shy, just walked right up and said, here's my friend. She's written this book, and it's really funny, and I've read it, and you should take a look. And so she offered to, and she read the first 3 chapters, and the very next day she wrote back and said that she really loved them, and she wanted to pass them on to her agent if that was okay with me. And so, of course, I said that was okay with me. And So she sent them to her agent, who wrote back within the hour saying that she wanted to see the full manuscript. And then,
And then it was a wonderful success.
it was like a Cinderella story. Like after that, she sent it off to editors in New York. There were 4 different publishing houses who were interested. She got them into like an auction and a bidding war. It was crazy.
So when you have that manuscript sitting in your drawer, maybe you should take it to the park. Find that novelist that plays on the swings.
I'm sorry to say that's my best publishing advice. Like, I don't really know.
Visit the right parks.
You just have to get lucky. I think you just have to keep at it long enough to get lucky.
Well, what was your background in writing? I mean, how did you become, obviously, you were incredibly talented and you have that gift. Did you do something to prepare for yourself for that, or how did you learn to write?
I kept journals my whole life, from 6th grade all the way through college. I was always writing, and then I wrote short stories, and then I went to Vassar College and won the Vassar College Fiction Prize. And then I went on to graduate school and I got a master's in fiction. So yeah.
Okay, so maybe this wasn't a lottery. I think you had some odds in your favor, Katherine.
I'd been doing a lot of writing. I certainly had practiced a lot, you know. But again, no matter how much you practice, it's really hard to get published.
Well,
It is.
I mean, there are tons of brilliant writers out there who haven't been published yet. I mean, that's wonderful about blogs, is it's giving this chance for so many people whose writing is so powerful, a chance to be heard. But you went the opposite direction. You got published first, and now you're blogging?
Yes, now I'm blogging. Which is so much fun. And I'm a big fan of blogging. So yeah, I have a website with a blog that's attached.
So what is your URL?
Katherincecenter.com.
Katherincecenter.com. So there you have it. Visit Katherincecenter.com and make sure you pick up not only The Bright Side of Disaster, but Katherine's newest novel, Everyone is Beautiful. Thanks so much for sharing your story. It's just fantastic to hear how your dream came true.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching us at 5minutesformom.com.